Welcome back to probably not your favorite YouTube channel, but you subscribed or you came across this video, so let's jump right into it. I'm Mason. I do a lot of random stuff on cars. I've owned a lot of random different, mostly Japanese cars. So let's jump into what we're doing right now. We are working on my 2005 Subaru Outback XT. This is the 5-speed manual version. XT comes with the 2.5 liter turbocharged engine. It is essentially the exact same engine that comes in the STI of the early gens in the, I believe, 2002 through 2000, I want to say 6. Specifically, it's the EJ255. The STI is the EJ257, which later XTs get the 257, but the 255 specifically has a smaller turbo and a smaller intercooler, but is essentially the exact same engine. So, what we're doing today, as part of a multi-part process to kind of get you to the information you may need more easily, this first video is just going to be getting down to the accessory belts. Some people might call them serpentine belts. That's not a correct terminology for a Subaru. They are accessory belts because there's not just one belt. You may be needing to change the alternator and AC pump belt or the power steering belt. Those are your two belts you got going on in there. So we're going to move right along. Pop in the hood. First thing you're going to come across is your air intake scoop. So this is to suck air over to your air filter on the left side. Air's pumped through the tubing here into the tubing that runs it up alongside here to the turbo. Yeah, sorry, it's been a while since I pulled this one off. Down to the turbo, turbo into the intercooler. Intercooler comes in, intake here. So, first part coming off is this. What you're going to have, I already started, but you're going to have two little push pins here. It's a hit or miss what they're going to be. You could get these guys that have the little edges on them that you can just use flathead screwdriver, pop them up, pull them out. The other ones that I come across, because some of them are replaced, some of them aren't, so I can't tell which ones are factory, are these little screw types where you unscrew that, comes up, pull it out. So you're going to get both those out. This picks up a little bit and pulls out of the airbox. There's nothing that holds it into the airbox. It's not a latched component, and then it just pulls up and out. That's it. And as you can see, it's just a little ridged fin that slides into the airbox. Set that aside. Next up is going to be the over-engine shroud. This lets there be a effective seal from the hood scoop to the intercooler itself. This is not something you want to disregard if you're someone like me that says, I want to get rid of unnecessary components. Like that air scoop, on most cars, generally useless. It doesn't do a whole lot. The amount of thermal control it provides is minimal. On a turbocharged engine, those degrees matter. You want to suck in air as cold as possible. On an engine like this, where the intercooler is being fed cold air from the outside via a hood scoop, you need this shroud to make that seal on the hood scoop to direct the air straight through the intercooler. On a lot of engines, these shrouds can be tossed aside. They don't do anything besides make it look harder to work on the engine. In this case, this guy stays. We got 4 push pins, 2 at the front, 2 at the back. The style that was on all these is the screw type. Sometimes these get worn out and they won't unthread. What you need to do is just pull this up a little bit, give it a little tension on it, and while you're holding it up with one hand, take a screwdriver and undo it with the other, and it should thread out. And if it doesn't thread out all the way, you can always grab a pair of pliers. You get it up a little bit, you can get under it, wiggle that screw up, then it gets loose enough to pull up. If it's not quite loose enough to pull up, you can take a flathead under it, pop it up a little bit. I usually like to pop these just a little bit, slide pliers under, and pull them out. Sometimes you'll get just the screw, and nothing holds that in once the screw is gone. Some little pre-work that I did. So the shroud comes off, we set it aside, and we're back. So next thing, getting down to the accessory belts, it's going to be this bracket here. This had one 10mm bolt that went right in here. Undo that, 10 mils, easy. Next is going to be, see it there, but you probably won't be able to see it when this is sitting like it's supposed to, because it sits like that. 12mm bolt right down here, loosen it. This is a tension clip, so once you undo the tension a little bit, it'll come right off. Take that bracket, set it aside. You don't want to take this off all the way, or if you do, you need to make sure to catch this guy, this little bracket right there. If you undo this bolt all the way, this will just fall off the back. This is the lock that it tightens against to keep tension on the alternator. Oh, I do need to replace these belts. So now we're down to the belts generally themselves. Now we need to start pulling tension off of some stuff. And we're back and working. So what you're going to do next to relieve the tension on the alternator belt first is right up under the belt here. You're going to see this bolt, 12mm. This is the lock that holds the tensioning bolt in place. You're going to undo that. Just loosen it. You don't need to take it off. This bolt over here is already loose from what you did to get that bracket cover off. And then you're going to undo this bolt here. So what's going to happen is this is the tension bolt. I'll show you what happens with this guy. That is how the tension is pulled up on the belt or released on it. And that is it to get this belt off. I'm going to pull it off of the AC pump, right? Oh no, they reversed it on this one. Sorry, I've been working on Hondas a lot. Power steering pump, alternator share belt, AC is by itself. So, oh damn. That belt comes off, and let's take a look at that guy real quick. Just bend this around. So if you look at the cross profile, whoo, that is a dead freaking belt. This car's not been getting the love it needs. Alright, well, that belt's toast. Let's get the other one off. Way down there. Grab one of my lights. Down there, that bolt right there, it's going to be lower. It's a 12mm nut actually. You need to loosen that. Don't take it off, just loosen it. And come up here, same way the alternator works. This is a tensioning bolt right there in that spot. You just undo that. I'll show you what happens. And we'll pull that little pulley up. You see it rising? This is your tensioning pulley right here. That'll loosen the tension on this belt. Pull it up off of the AC. I'll take a look at her. She's not bad. I'm going to replace it anyways. There are cracks in the grooves. Like, you can see that right there. That's not good. That causes slippage. And the side of the belt, if you look at the side profile, you can see that there's a little ridge there where it's worn down. Yeah, where it's worn down around the pulley. That's toast. And there you go. To get your accessory belts out of the car and putting them back in, you'll put the AC belt on first, and then you'll tension this down. The tension you're going for is at the longest pull of the belt. There's approximately 1/4 to a maximum of a 1/2 inch of play. So the longest pull of the belt is going to actually be from the AC pulley to the crank pulley. So somewhere in here, about the middle, if you push down on it, you should only be able to push it in about 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch from just sitting unpressured. Once you get to that point, that's tight. You go down, I'll tighten this locking nut. Same thing with the alternator and power steering. Get it around the 3 pulleys, put it on there. I'll tension up the alternator until you get to same tension like before. The longest pull on the belt is from the power steering down to the crank, so you can come around the side here and push on it from below, and that will let you test the tension on that. Once that's tight, go and tighten your locking bolt again on the alternator, and then we'll grab our bracket. I'll put this guy back on. It's got that little C slot. Slide that. If you notice, there's a few things going on here. There's a washer, rubber grommet, and a rubber grommet. You want this to go in between the 2 rubber grommets, or it'll have some metal shaking sounds. But you'll tighten that up, put your 10 mil back in there, put your cover back on, all that good stuff. Like I said, this is going to be a multi-part video. I'm actually doing a timing belt on this car. We'll get down to that shortly. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to break it down to a few components. You guys can find what you're looking for, but that is the start of this. And if you're just looking for accessory belts, that's all you need. Alright, I hope everybody enjoyed that and got the information they needed. Like, subscribe, hit me back with some suggestions on videos. Thank you, and goodbye.